It's gonna be a real sad day, Rocco, when we change that intro music. Cause damn sure I love that one. Yeah, I mean, compared to the first one, boy, it makes you want to boogie, don't it?
As a good jam, man. I guess that gets me going. It
Yes,
gets me
sir.
getting me rocking and rolling. Yeah.
It's another episode of Fourth in Fantasy. I am your humble host, Hancho, and this is my guy.
So Rocco, call me Rocco. Didn't fuck up that time.
Coming to y'all at another Sunday, wherever what time it is. Hopefully, is all. I think it's been 2 weeks and of daylight savings time. I finally feel it in my body, starting to get used to it. That first week felt like it was whooping my ass a little bit, but we good. We back. We feeling refreshed. Rocco, how you feeling today?
Man, I'm feeling great, man. I'm feeling really good. You know, most of free agency is behind us, and now we can start talking about the team building process as we lead into the NFL draft. So it should be exciting.
Which is kind of sad because we haven't even really got into the real portion of free agency. We're just in legal tampering. So we could see a lot more trades. We just saw a trade happen yesterday, and we will get to that to today's actual discussion because we will be going over running back depth charts across the league, seeing what guys can get nuked, how deep these depth charts go, what guys do we believe in or could be replaced. You just never know in this wonderful world of the NFL and fantasy. And we're going to start with the AFC because we feel like that's an easier task. And just looking at the time, we might split this into two videos where we got AFC and NFC. We could literally go deep dive into this if you really wanted to. So, with that being said, Rocco, let's start with the Jets with Brees Hall, Braylon Allen, and then we have Isaiah Davis. I feel like
Hmm.
this is one of the deeper backfields in the NFL. And at the same time, I could still see them drafting another running back, which would be crazy as hell to say, right? Brees Hall, some would say a top five running back in Dynasty. I've never actually been that high on Brees Hall just because of his injury, the
Hmm.
Jets offense in whole. Now, my tone might change a little bit with my boy Justin Fields now there at quarterback. So I might just change my stance on that. But right now, I don't I see Brees Hall potentially keeping his top five status, top running back status. Braylon Allen still one of the key handcuffs, I believe, in the NFL. He shown in the limited opportunities last year that he can play and supplement Brees to keep his legs nice and fresh. And then you even had a couple spot plays from Isaiah Davis where he looked pretty good
I
anytime.
like Isaiah Davis.
Hell yeah. So what do you think with that depth chart? Do you think they draft a running back?
I think if they do draft a running back, we're kind of seeing the beginning of the end for Brees Hall in New York. Um, because, I mean, let's not get it twisted. His first year, he was electric, and then he got hurt. His second year,
Mm-hmm.
he got really hot down the stretch and won people championships. And then in his third year last year, he looked kind of slow. Like
A little bit.
we thought that he would be, in his second full year from the knee surgery. We thought 2024 would be the year he took off like a rocket ship, and it just didn't happen. So I think if Brees Hall, I feel like if the Jets draft somebody, I think that's more of a statement on Brees Hall. I mean, let's look at it last year. They had Brees Hall and they still drafted Braylon Allen and Isaiah
And
Davis,
Isaiah
who are
Davis,
both
yep.
competent running backs in their own right. So um, If I was the Jets, I would kind of stay pat. Maybe I wouldn't draft anybody before day three. Um, but if something does happen, that says more about Brees Hall to me than being another depth piece at running back.
Yeah, I would agree with that one. And once again, I've never been the guy to hype up Brees Hall. He's not. No, I think I don't even have one share across the numerous fantasy leagues I'm in. I'll let somebody else take that bullet in the second round of choosing them. Well, because I personally like other guys more than I like Brees.
Well, let's just say when he's on, he's a league winner,
Yeah,
but
PPR monster.
he hasn't he hasn't shown that ability on a consistent basis. I think to your point.
And now the Buffalo Bills with one of my favorite guys, because you know how I feel about my Georgia Bulldogs, Go Dogs, James Cook, who is looking or trying to get paid this offseason. He said he just wants what is owed to him, what he deserves. He's trying to get broke off, which he should, because there was certain times in that playoffs or towards the later year where he was a very important part when that passing game wasn't actually doing anything. And then you got Ray Davis, one of my pet cats from last year's 2024 running back class. Really like him. And then we can't throw out Ty Johnson, who just received a new contract with the Buffalo Bills. It really, I see him, me out, Rocco. I could see the Bills going to go get a running back if and only if, and depends on how they feel about James Cook going forward. Do they think he's as much of a difference maker than Ray Davis or one of these running backs to throw him the money that he's looking for? That's that will be the very big deciding when it comes to them. But if they do, because I feel like James Cook he's like 5'10", 195 if you want to. Ray Davis, he's a shorter back, but a little thicker. And then you got Ty Johnson, who's I think roughly a little smaller than Ray Davis. If they were to go get a running back, it would be somebody in the body frame that's not the same as the first three. Someone on that bigger end. But honestly, I don't. I think it wouldn't be smart on their end just because James Cook, he's a great runner and he's really good in the passing game. Ray Davis is damn near the same, where he's a great complement to James Cook. He runs the ball, he catches the ball. And then Ty Johnson, he's very much in the passing game for the Bills. I just feel like if you were to draft a running back, there wouldn't be enough opportunities or touches just to go around in that overall backfield, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, I think they got a solid, three guys there. Cook is one of those smaller backs, but
Hmm.
that's the type of back that seems to be in vogue these days. Across the league. With the difference of in this draft class, we got more of those prototype sizes that we've seen in the past. But I mean, Cook, back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, explosive player, damn near 5 yards a carry.
Yep.
Ray Davis, when that one game where Cook sat out, he looked every bit as good as Cook. So I really like that guy. I think if anything happens, Ray Davis can step right in, and we may even see him, give Cook a little bit of a breather in 2025 because he can handle somebody.
Yep.
Ty Johnson, he's just one of the best pass catching backs in the league, so he definitely will have a role, and they'll get him on the field because he made a lot of big plays catching the
Mm.
ball last year. But I think if they draft anybody, early, first or second round, then that kind of signals that Cook is not going to be re-signed after this year. It's just a money thing. Because I don't think it's a talent thing at this point. I think it'll just come down to dollars and cents if they actually draft somebody. But I
Mm.
would say that backfield is probably 75% safe.
I would say so the same. Now, the Tennessee Titans in this. where we might get a little bit of back and forth because I love me some Tony Pollard. I don't give a fuck about Tajay Spears. He can very much be replaced across
Yeah,
any
yeah.
team I have him on, just because I think his knee is a ticking time bomb, if you will. Pollard showed really good. He basically replicated his same season that he had the year before with the Dallas Cowboys when he was the starter. So I think where he showed his value was in the running game. And then also, I think he could be even used more in the passing game. But I understand with them and trying to keep Tajay Spears incorporated in that offense. You invested the pick, and he has shown plays where he can be good. But I still think he's a guy that you can easily replicate or get better production out of one of these rookie running backs coming in if they wanted to go that direction. Don't get me wrong, Tony Pollard is a great back, but he also is somebody who sometimes get banged up. Tajay Spears, somebody who is, I won't say he's been the healthiest player in his
Hmm.
NFL team. So I think they can definitely 100% add a third guy in this group to one compete with Tajay Spears and just to give them overall depth. I don't think you can go into this in today's NFL with just two good running backs or decent running backs at that, just because of the nature of the position.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm starting to come there. I think this I put this there, because I really like Pollard.
Mm.
Um, but just kind of looking at his contract, they do have an out after this year, where he can be cut uh, and only have 2 million of dead cap. So they can bring somebody in. And you're right, Spears has been injury prone. I do like Spears go Green Wave, but he has been banged up. So,
Sure.
do you think this team would draft a guy in the early second?
I think, uh,
Because that's where they're picking. I think it's
yeah,
the
for
third
me,
pick in the second round.
I don't think I could see them going the second round just because they have numerous of other spots that I
Hmm.
feel like they need to plug in, and I don't think the running game was too much of their worries. It was more of that quarterback. Sorry, Levis, you suck, and then the wide receivers that they were throwing out there. I do like Calvin Ridley. He's already always had my respect when coming out of Alabama. And then his brother, if people didn't know, his younger brother actually ended up playing for the University of Georgia. So the Ridley family has always been, you know, always respected them as players. But I could see them going relatively in as if they haven't picked up a veteran quarterback at this point, it leads me to think that they're not going to, and they're going to go towards the draft. So,
They're,
and
they're drafting Cam Ward.
thank you. That is exactly
They're
where I.
drafting Cam Ward. There's
Yep.
no. I mean, that's telegraphed at this point that they're
Yeah.
drafting Cam Ward. He's going number one.
Yeah.
You know, you you haven't heard it here first, but we will definitively say that's who they're going to pick. Put money on it.
And then I could see them going a wide receiver in the second or third. Now you have to remember they did lose. I
They
mean,
don't have a third round pick. They
oh
do have the 4.1, which could be a prime spot for any of the running backs that didn't get picked in day two. We could be looking at
do they at least have a
a
second?
yeah, they have early second,
Okay, all
which
right, we're
which
gonna.
I think you are right. I think they will go wide receiver.
Yeah,
They're very wide receiver dusty right now. So I think that probably is their biggest need besides quarterback, and that's round four could be a ripe spot for them to take a running back
hmm
if they do pull the trigger and don't decide that they have other areas of league because that's going to be a coveted pick. You know, those first picks. On the next day,
yeah. The second
a
day,
team
yeah.
on the third day in round four. But those picks are very valuable because the teams can kind of regroup, look at all the players on the board, and then they, of course, they have the pick of the litter of who's left. So, um, they could definitely get, like I said, a Cam Scadden, or they could get a Damian Martinez, guys like that
And that's what they
who,
need.
who in other drafts, very well could have been second round picks.
Yeah,
Just in 2024, some of these running backs could have been pushed up because of the lack of depth in those classes. So, um, if I were to be a betting man, if they do pick a running back, um, round pick one of round four would be the spot.
yeah, I 100% see them coming out of this draft with at least drafting one running back, and they will be a different type of running back compared to Tony Pollard. Not to say Tony Pollard is a small guy; he's about 6 foot, 215 pounds. Tajee Spears is more of the smaller end, so I could see them going
Hmm.
with a Cam Scatterboo. I think that would actually be great on the end. One of the guys that you just mentioned, Damian Martinez, boy, I
Ollie
think
Gordon.
yeah, exactly. Olive Gordon would be another one, a good, or the bigger bats for them, I think. So, yeah, I 100% see them coming out of this draft with at least drafting one running back. We have the Miami Dolphins, who actually just signed a running back in Madison. Now, they have Devon A. Chain and they have Jalen Wright. They let our boy Mozart go. The way that they operate, honestly, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if they drafted another guy. Madison is more of a 1 year, just to make sure that
Hmm.
he could easily be a cut guy by the time we get into training camp.
Absolutely, yeah.
Easily, but by the time I think just when people kind of at this point get too over analytical when it comes to these signings, some teams are just filling out their roster. They need camp bodies.
Hmm.
100% see Madison as a camp body, but the Dolphins love them some speed. A Chain, Jalen Wright. Could they go after another one of those guys in Bashar Tutton?
That is their exact. That is the exact player that kind of fits with the mold that they look for. So I
Hmm.
can definitely see Tootin, maybe even being a round two pick for them just because they covet speed so much. I can also see them going after a bigger back
Yup.
just because they don't really have that archetype. Um, in round two, yeah, if if say like a Quinshon Judkins falls to them, I can see them definitely going after that type of a DJ Giddens who has size and speed.
Oh yeah.
Because right now that's what they like. The guy HA who plays a lot of slot receiver for that team.
Yeah.
Uh, so he's not necessarily ace running back. He's more of an offensive weapon for them. So I don't even put him in the category of like RB1, even though he is the highest scoring running back on the team.
Hmm.
Uh, right, we still have to see it. He didn't look
I,
super
I was gonna
fresh.
say yeah. You got to see it.
Jalen Wright did not look too good, so they can easily move on from him. And Madison is, like you said, probably a camp body or just an insurance policy in case. Because let's be honest, Wright could get cut in training camp, and they could decide to hold on to the veteran in Madison. That could easily happen, but I can definitely see this team drafting a running back in round two.
Hmm.
Um, I think let's see.
Because I actually, when I think about the Dolphins, and you got to think about a few things with them, they are they got Tua, and yes, do they still believe in Tua? Sure, but he's literally one hit away from the head for his career
Mm-hmm.
a wrap. So if Devin A. Chain is probably going to be somebody who you heavily rely on when it comes to because you got Devin A. Chain, you have Tyree Hill. We are still seeing if he's going to be a Dolphin by the time the season starts. Jalen Waddle, you still got Johnu Smith. Then you got Jalen Wright, who they decided to keep over Mozart. So, and if you really think about it, that whole offense is like a soft Twinkie. All them guys get hurt. Tyreek Hill gets hurt. Waddle gets hurt. Uh, A Chain, he did a better job last year. He bulked up a little bit. I hope he doesn't bulk up any goddamn more because I don't need to see no more mass on that man, which will end up messing up his big playability. But and then you got Madison, so who's already a bigger back compared to Jalen Wright or A Chain. That gives you a different kind of play style. You know,
Hmm.
a thump. Oh, he's not really a thumper, but more of a thumper, if you will. But if they see a guy that, you know, once again, A Chain's only one injury away, and like you said, they use him. He's your weapon on that offense, where he's a runner, but he's also a slot receiver, PPR monster, if you want to look at him that way. And then you got Jalen Wright. I think if you want to view them in a way of sorts, you could see how before the injury, kind of how the Panthers were trying to go with Chuba Hubbard and how they were going to try to do that with Jonathan. His last name is slipping my Jonathan. What's that man's last name? The one who tore his ACL up.
You got me.
The running.
Jonathan Brooks.
Thank you. There we go. Jonathan Brooks. Him. What they were trying to do with him. I think we could see the same thing. Or giving a even better example, what we saw with Detroit with David Montgomery and Demir Gibbs.
Hmm.
Devon A. Chain is your Demir Gibbs. He's your guy that he's your runner, but he's also somebody who you heavily get involved in the passing game. David Montgomery
Absolutely.
was your thumper. He was your guy who you ran in between the tackles. He still got involved in the passing game, but he was the guy who really brought that thunder to the offense. I still think the Dolphins are missing that thumper in that
Hmm.
aspect. And if they want to allow A Chain to still continue. Just like I said, A Chain played all the games last year. He got nicked up, but he played all the games last year. I don't see that being the same thing if they go about it the same way. They need to continue to split that, split up his time. It doesn't always have to be as a runner. Get him in space, let him be a slot receiver, is keeping him and keeping his body more fresh. And let's say if you do go out there and you go get a Bashar Tutton, who is a bigger, I think he's like 208 pounds, 210 pounds, still with a 4.3. You got a couple of guys who ran in that 4.4 range who has a bigger body. I think once again, Damon Martinez still as another guy who, even though he's not a burner, he has probably one of the best feet work or footwork in the whole RB class. When he is in running in between the tackles, the way he's able to move his body compared to being a bigger back would fit so. And I don't want to put this label on him, but if he were to go to the Miami Dolphins, he would give me and it makes me not want to put the label on him because Ricky Williams esque, but he's slower than Ricky Williams. Ricky Williams was a little faster, but he would give me that kind of you know vibe if he went to the Miami Dolphins. If you
Right.
will,
Yeah.
I could see that with Damian Martinez.
Man, that you hit that nail on the head. That's exactly what I was going to say. Damian Martinez is the type of back that they're missing. And they should have gotten a close look at him, playing right there for the Hurricanes.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think he's the perfect type that they're missing. And the good thing about Damian Martinez is they would probably pick him up in the fourth or fifth round.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, focus some of those earlier draft capital on, wide receiver because I mean, who knows, what Tyreek is going to do with
Yeah.
himself. Waddle's been banged up. They've been very over reliant. Um, reliant on Johnny Smith, which is good for my fantasy teams
Yeah.
because he's probably my most owned tight end. But if they, want to get back to, that explosive offense that we've seen in 2022 and 2023, um, you know, getting some of those receiver weapons, in house just to kind of supplement, the guys that they have already and have them in case of injury. I think that's probably the way they go in the first or second round, unless they, focus on offensive line, which is also a need that, they need to keep Tua protected. So that's another direction they can go as well.
No, we're going to talk about a running back group who you think their top guy could get nuked. The New England Patriots and Mr. Ramondre Stevenson, who I have a few shares of. So you
He's
always
in danger.
downfall a little bit. He's just speaking this voodoo out into the world, if you
He
will.
is in danger. Danger! Watch himself.
I very much been on the Ramondre Stevenson's, thinking that he can have a boost of a season or a bounce back season, if you will, after having a numerous fumbles last year. He has a new regime, new head coach, just a new sense of fresh air coming to him.
Mm,
But Rocco over here is speaking on his downfall and thinks
mm.
he is in trouble and that the Patriots will
He he is in deep doo doo right now.
find his replacement.
They drafted two running backs.
Two, they double it. You need
Two.
now you double dipping.
You heard it here first. They getting two backs in this class. They're gonna
No,
get one early, maybe second or third round, and they're gonna get another one on day three.
and then now that you say that, there's some people, the team, they're one of the teams that I could see going for a Trevion Henderson type of player, who where they have Ramondre Stevenson. He's 230 plus, 6 foot. He could be your inside guy, and then you bring in a Trevion Henderson, or you bring in RJ Harvey. I think the second guy, if you been able, or if you ever watched a New England Patriots led by their offensive coordinator, whose all name is also slipping my mind, and it's going to bother me. Now I gotta Google it. Patriots OC. I don't know why. Josh McDaniels. Thank you. His name was totally slipping my mind. So if you ever watched a Josh McDaniels offense, a running back that he absolutely loves is the pass catcher. If you think of it, James White, and if you want to
Mm.
go even to another person, Danny Woodhead was once at a point a PPR reception monster
But
in the Patriots offense.
but isn't Ramondre just a 230-pound James White or Danny Woodhead? Does
That's
he doesn't run like a 230 down back. He runs like a scat back,
yes,
avoiding contact.
got a little shiftiness to him. I'll give him
Avoid
that.
shiftiness and avoiding contact, you know, to the detriment of holding on to the football. Um, I'm not sure. I push back on that a little bit. I think they actually going to want a between the tackles type grinder to go with Ramondre. If Ramondre is going to retain value, it's going to have to be as the pass catching back, the
I hope.
change of pace back.
Yeah.
He could still provide value with 10 to maybe at the top end 15 touches if he's on a 2 minute drive.
Mm.
Uh, but that I feel like they're lacking somebody that's just gonna, you know, just take it in there and get the 4 yards, get the 6 yards that are blocked, and keep the offense on schedule. So, um, that would be my pushback because I feel like he is the pass catching back, and I think they need to kind of bring that back to his game a little bit.
I
Um,
need to. They
we
need to.
saw we saw just a few years ago. I think he was damn near RB1 with all the passes he was catching. So He is a bigger back in size, but I feel like he plays more like the pass down specialist. So
Mm,
um, that would be what I would look for them to do. So I could very well see them round two, uh, early in round two. If Omarion Hampton's there, I could see them going for him. I could see them going for Caleb Johnson. I
mm,
could see them going for Quinshon Judkins.
yeah.
Just these guys that are going to be great between the tackles. But where the nuking comes into play is some of those guys are also really good pass catchers. So, if they get on the field and they take that first and second down role and they prove that they're just as good or equivalent to Ramondre's talent as a pass catcher, then you could so slowly see his touch share erode quickly.
Mm.
So that's why I think he definitely has a chance to be nuked.
And before we head to our next team, I will leave this last note with Ramondre. He for sure can't have the same fumbling issues that he had last year, where we think the Patriots will indeed draft a running back or indeed double dip at the running back position. He's not going to get the same grace a second year in a row if he continues fumbling. So that's where we could very much see Ramondre get pushed out the way if those continue to trend upward.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, and I hope he does it because I still have a lot of Ramondre. So this is not
Same.
coming from a place where I'm hating on Ramondre. I'm just kind of looking at the landscape, and it makes me nervous.
Makes me nervous because it makes you nervous, Rocco.
It makes me
Now,
nervous.
the Baltimore Ravens, who I guess are in a very weird situation because then you have Mr. Derrick Henry, the king, if you will, Justin Justice Hill, who is very much their pass catching running back. They get involved in our offense, and then we have Keaton Mitchell, who is will be I think his second year removed off the injury. I believe all these guys could very much be. I won't say Derrick Henry can be nuked because he has a very prominent role in our offense, but I don't see those two guys behind them stopping the Ravens from going to go get a back.
Hmm.
Mine, Derrick Henry is 31. He's on the later end of his career. You have a Justice Hill who will always, to me, just be a third down running back, a pass catching running back. And then Keaton Mitchell was always just a smaller speedster who looked good in his rookie year, then got hurt. It's really sometimes it's hard for those guys to regain their speed, especially that being that type of archetype of running back. That's how you win. He won with his speed. So I could very much see the Ravens drafting a running back. What kind of running back? That will be very valuable to see. I think it would be along the lines of somebody like Derrick Henry, who
Hmm.
you have Justice Hill, so he'll be your pass catcher. But you'll need another guy who can run inside the tackles, be that thumper of like Derrick Henry can. Someone who reminds me, I won't say reminds me of Derrick Henry because nobody in this class is that size of Derrick Henry, has the speed of Derrick Henry, strength of Derrick Henry, all in one running back. But Ollie Gordon could be another guy for them.
Hmm.
Jukins could be another guy for them if they wanted to. The, some of these other big body guys that I like to end up going to the Baltimore Ravens. But it really depends on how they personally feel about their RB room. What do you think about the Ravens?
I mean, on the surface, without really looking deep into it, you would think that the Ravens don't need a running back because they got Derrick Henry. Um, and they and Justice Hill, I mean, we got to give him credit. He looked really good last year as
Mm-hmm.
that pass catching role. But I think the Ravens will have to look at this draft and the running backs in this draft and think, if King goes down, God forbid, he is an older back. I mean, he's an alien. So, I mean, the only time he's really actually been hurt was the foot issue.
Mm.
Um, he's never had, knock on wood, he's never had
Yeah,
like
knock
a
on
devastating knee
wood.
injury. Knock again, he never had like that devastating knee injury or, that really bad injury. It was a foot. It got healed, and he, you know, it essentially was the same guy after that injury.
Mm.
Um, but I think they do have to look at getting some contingency options
Mm.
just in case he does get hurt because he's such a big part of that offense. And that running game just will fall off the hill. Even as good as Justice Hill is, he's not a between the tackles type guy that can keep the team, on schedule. So, um, if I were to guess, I feel like they would get a guy that could possibly do both of what these guys do. Like, I think they would be looking for a guy that could be an in between the tackles guy to spell King Henry, but also a guy that's a good pass catcher, but has more size and maybe a little more juice than Justice Hill. And you're not
Devin
gonna have
Neal.
more juice. You're not gonna have more juice than Michael Keaton. Or is that his name, Michael Keaton? Or I'm thinking of just thinking of a movie star. I can't think of his name, but Keaton, I think the jury's still out on him because it was a devastating injury. I mean,
Yeah.
his knee bent completely the wrong way, and we don't know if he's ever going to be 100% the same guy. If he is, he would be a good weapon, but I don't think he's going to stop the team from getting a guy. So, like you said, a Devin Neal, a DJ Giddens would look good in purple and black.
Like a
Um,
Dylan Sampson, I like for them.
Dylan Sampson, but he might be closer to Justice Hill and Keaton because he's a smaller back.
Mm.
Um, but those are some of the guys that stand out to me as far as some guys that they can bring in. I think they need just a guy that can do a little bit of both because right now they got a lot of specialization in that backfield. Um, but if they can get a guy that can do everything, I think that will set them up, for 2025 in case of injury, and in the future it could be, their RB1 of the future as well.
All right. How about the Cincinnati Bengals? They basically only got Chase Brown right now, and I think they signed Samaje P. Ryan. If I'm remembering at the top of my head, I think I've never been on the Chase Brown bandwagon. He's had some games out there, but I think he's also another guy that is easily replaceable in this draft, and they'll be looking for some running back help in the draft. There's another who they had Joe Mixon for a little bit. I could
Hmm.
definitely see them looking towards what Chase Brown's like 5'10", 5'11", about 215 ish. So why not go after like a Devin Neal? I think a Rashard Smith would be really cool for them. A Jordan James, a Taj Brooks,
Hmm.
along those lines, where you're not going super early. A LaQuint Allen, I like him for the Bengals as well. R.J. Harvey is another I think would be a good for the Cincinnati Bengals, but be very much sure they will be drafting a running back. 100.
Hmm.
And Chase Brown is going to get a complimentary back to go. Now, will he be the RB all year? I'm very much don't know. And I am looking at the Browns as well, who are kind of in that same situation as the Cincinnati Bengals. They basically only have Jerome Ford. And if you like Jerome, kudos to you, I suppose. I was never really on that side. I don't even think I own a piece of Jerome Ford share, if we're being honest. Now, could the Cleveland Browns, like I said, the Cleveland Browns, the Cincinnati Bengals are in the same wheelhouse of you basically only have one guy. And the RB
Hmm.
spot is the position is something where or a position where you have to have bodies there just the nature of the position. So you just can't just have Chase. Chase can get hurt, and we saw that in the playoffs where he got a high. And then you got Jerome Ford. That's the only back for you with the Browns, and the Browns suck anyway, so it doesn't really matter what they. They definitely going to be those two that draft a running back heavy, very much.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like the Bengals are gonna draft a guy that like a lot of these teams, Chase is a smaller back, so they're gonna try to draft a guy that can take on, some of that first and second down work, and can run between the tackles. So there's a lot of guys that fit that bill, but I think the Bengals also have a terrible defense.
Mm,
They can add to their offensive line. So I think they have a lot of needs. So I think it would be kind of silly for them to draft an early round running back. Uh, but they could be a team that drafts a couple later backs to
yeah,
kind of supplement that room because there's going to be quality guys on day three. So that's kind of where I look for them to attack the position. The Browns, all they have is Ford, and Nick Chubb is basically washed. Rest in peace, Nick Chubb. So, but they do have an elite defense, so I can see them being in play for uh, probably not a first round running back because they pick
mm,
just too high and they're going to have other needs. But I can definitely see them at the top of the second round, being a team that takes one of those first running backs to come off day two because they're right at the top of the board in round two. So I think they're going to kind of look, see who's available, and they're going to take an absolute stud to kind of get that running game and defensive identity that they've had in the past with Nick Chubb and that elite defense led by Miles Garrett. I see them definitely going maybe Abdul Carter in the first round to pair with a Miles Garrett, and then in round two, pick 33. I think they're going to take the best back that's on the board.
no, I'm going to name off a few teams, and you tell me of the names that you hear, which ones you see one of these premier running backs going to. You have the Steelers, Texans, Colts, and Jags.
I think the Steelers are definitely in play because they I don't think they see Jalen Warren as a three down back. If they did, he would have gotten more run during this time. So I think he's definitely probably gonna keep the same role he's always had. They're gonna bring in. They're believe it or not, they are just trying to see where they're picking 21.
Mm,
They are prime a prime spot. I might not agree with it, but they are a prime spot to take a first round running back. Omarion Hampton would be a guy
Hampton,
that
yeah.
I would look, maybe to land in Pittsburgh after Genty comes off the board. He could be the second running back to come off the board in the first round. He's just he kind of seems like a Najee type back, but with much more juice than Najee.
I think with the Steelers, a running back that reminds me like Najee Harris is Ollie Gordon, and he would be they're roughly the same size. I take that back. I think Najee Harris is a because he damn near pushing 240, damn near. Ollie Gordon is a big boy. Don't get me wrong, but he ain't no
Mm-hmm.
damn 240. But
He's close. He's like 230.
yeah, he a big boy. I'm telling you that. But like the Texans, Colts, Jags in that a whole wheelhouse. I think the Jags are good. They like ETN, but I could definitely see them drafting. That this might be the last year with Travis Etienne, and
Mm-hmm.
so I could definitely see them going somewhere a different direction. Then you got Tank Bisbee. The Colts just have Jonathan Taylor. I can 100% see them drafting a running back.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I don't want to see. I have Jonathan Taylor. I need him, but he gets banged up, so you want him to keep his fresh legs. And
Give me
then,
a pass catching back there.
yes, that's
Give me
a
a
hundred.
Rashad Smith, a Bayshore too. Then we're tough.
Yes, that's somebody who I want to see them more of a pass catcher. And then let's look at these last four AFC teams: Broncos, Chiefs, Raiders, Chargers. Broncos didn't bring back Javante Williams. They just have really Istame at the moment, and then the other guy that they liked a little bit that people mix something McLaughlin, something like that.
Jaleel McLaughlin.
Yes,
McLaughlin.
their
McLaughlin.
pass catcher. I 100% could see the Denver Broncos actually drafting a running back. Don't get me wrong, I was one of those people who did draft Estime in the third or fourth round of rookie
Hmm.
mock drafts or rookie drafts of 2024. I just don't think the Broncos are too much in love with him at the
The
now.
Broncos are drafting Trevion Henderson in the first round.
They could. And he would be a great asset for them. Of what he's a better pass catcher, I think, than Estime, and he has that juice of both a runner and a receiver. Throw him in that Broncos, running core and keep the offense explosive. I would actually really love that for them. The Chiefs just signed. Damn, what's his name? It's gonna piss me off.
Elijah Mitchell
No, no. Oh, they did. They did sign Elijah Mitchell, but they
and
also
Kareem Hunt.
they brought back. Thank you. They brought back Kareem Hunt, and then you also have Isaiah Pacheco, who I've been telling y'all since day one of we since we
They
started
gonna draft somebody.
to get rid of his ass.
They gonna draft somebody.
They're going to draft somebody. I think Elijah Mitchell could easily just be a camp body, and he hasn't been able to stay healthy for the last few seasons. He can get most out the way. Kareem Hunt, he's probably old reliable, but Pacheco hasn't looked like the same running back. And then you go look at the Las Vegas Raiders. They basically just have Mozart. They still have and I hate to say it because he used to be a Georgia Bulldog, Bulldogs, but Zamir White, the
Hmm.
most hyped up, overhyped up running
Nope.
back last year. Oh, he's going to
Can't
be
do
the
it.
starter. He's going to
Mm-mm.
didn't do shit. All right, he didn't do exactly nothing. Just wasn't drafting. Don't be surprised if we see Ashton Genty go to the Raiders. Now, will he? I don't know. Could he? Yes. Could they do Atlanta Falcons and draft Shador Sanders, even though they just picked up Geno Smith? 100%. Could see it.
Hmm.
Just don't know what the toss up is. Is it very much? But do I see the Raiders at least coming out with a running back or two?
They
Fuck yeah.
need they need running back. They have one of the most needed running back teams in the whole league. I feel like they almost kind of telegraphing that they may take Genty at six, which I think would be a huge mistake. I don't think any running back is really worth the sixth pick.
No.
If I was them, I would try desperately to trade down if somebody wants to come up for one of the quarterbacks. If they intend on taking Ashton Genty to at least get some return on that number six pick. Um, but it's kind of looking that way because I mean they've fortified other positions, um, through free agency, but
Mm.
they haven't done basically anything except sign Raheem Mostert, who is nobody's idea of a number one running back. He's a tertiary back at best. That's just going to maybe provide some splash plays, but that team is locked and loaded to
And
take
then, and then,
Ashton Genty.
then what about the last but not least, the Chargers? Because I think they're in a they just signed Najee Harris to a 1 year deal. That's kind of, and then you have Kamani Vidal, who he showed some type of, you know, the opportunity that he was given, so he was capable. But like I said, Najee Harris is only on a 1 year deal. Could the Chargers decide mid-year, well, if he's doing well, let's resign him and bring him back on a 2 year deal, 2, 3 years?
Hmm.
He's still a young back, so I could very much see that. But could we also see them go ahead and draft a running back? Hell yes. Maybe they want to be careful on what they spend their money on. So let's go get a cheaper running back in this draft. And do like Kamani Vidal, but he's not a player that's preventing me from drafting a running back.
Nah, I mean, I like Cavani Vidal too, but I mean, let's let's be honest. In this draft, he would probably be like the 20th best back. So he was a good back in last year's draft. There weren't a lot of good
Yeah,
running backs in that draft, but you know he's definitely a prime candidate to be nuked. So I think Najee. I think the Chargers are safe from going early at running back, but they're another team that can definitely add in rounds 4, 5, and 6 and 7 uh, to this run because right now it's looking kind of dry.
yes, sir. And now,
One other guy we kind of went over, but another team I can see definitely drafting a running back is the Texans. I mean, Mixon's old. He got banged up at times last year. Pierce has been kind of a bust, so don't be surprised if they draft a guy as well.
yeah, that's another team that could use a running back to pair well with both Mixon Pierce just to mix things up. But that is the AFC landscape. Running back depth chart. Who can get new? Who we like? What RB groups that we think are okay? Trust me, it's not a lot of them. Running back is a position that can be easily, especially in this class, replaceable if you aren't producing or if you're somebody who is looking to bounce back after having a bad 2024. This is not the class you wanted. That
I
you
think we basically made the case that every one of these teams could draft a running back at least on day 3.
at least every
Every single team in the AFC could draft a running back.
and we will
It's
be going over
crazy.
the NFC side of things, landscape of things, in our next episode. This was a good, I say, situation just to look at guys and you know when you're looking at running backs, and it's particularly for people who do rookie drafts before the NFL draft. You're a wild boy. Let me tell you, you're a wild boy because ain't no way I'm selecting a running back or anything or any prospect if I don't know where they're at. That could be easily one of the easiest indicators to dignify what they're going to do in their rookie year. So we'll be going over the NFC side of things in our next episode. It's been a wonderful episode with y'all today. Whatever you are, whatever you're doing, whatever time it is, hope you have a good rest of your day or wonderful weekend. I am your wonderful host, Honcho, and this is my guy.
Rocco, and make sure you do not trade for AFC running backs from now until the draft. That's my last name.
Really, don't trade for no running backs. Actually, at this point, if you heard Force and Fantasy is telling you don't trade for any running back right now, unless it's in the top 2 or 3. I even say 2. If it ain't Big John or Jameer Gibbs, don't do that shit. It's not gonna be worth it. Players are gonna be getting nuked, and you're gonna be on the side. You're gonna be like me, how I felt with Jordan Whittington, and then get
Yikes.
you gonna be listen. Adhere to it. But until next time, we'll catch y'all later.